This is a story about how quitting my software engineering 9 to 5 actually changed my life. But to give you the entire picture, I want to start it from the beginning. Since my early ages of living in a Russian-speaking country, Belarus, I was always enjoying watching YouTube videos, and I also wanted to become a YouTuber. I had a few attempts starting a YouTube channel. I was doing it even pretty consistently, but all the time I was dropping those YouTube attempts because I wasn't seeing enough results. I was understanding that maybe it's not for me, and basically just giving myself some other reasons to stop. But I always enjoyed watching one guy, which was a Ukrainian guy, also Russian speaking, but he was living in the United States. And since I knew that my family is planning to move to Canada, I wanted to do the same. I knew that once I will be in Canada, I will start making YouTube videos, and then I will become famous, and then it's gonna be easy for me. And this is exactly what I did after a few of my YouTube attempts. Once my family moved to Canada, I started making a ton of videos. I shared it with my previous classmates. I was sharing different aspects of Canada, and then I dropped it as well in 6 months because again I didn't see a lot of results, even though right now I could say that the results were pretty good, and I was out of ideas. I didn't know what I should record videos about, and at this point my parents already started pushing me into some real life world and started asking me questions like, what the heck are you going to do with your life? What is the job that you're gonna take here in Canada? So they first sent me to some QA courses which I passed in like 4 months, and then for the rest of the year I was trying to get a job there while I was 18 and nobody wanted to hire me. So then they sent me to another bootcamp, which was software engineering bootcamp for 3 months, and after this one I was pretty lucky and I got my first software engineering job at the age of 18. And I actually enjoyed software engineering more than QA, and I was happy with this job. I finally started getting some good money, and many of my friends were pretty jealous that they were working at minimum wage while I was getting like 25-ish dollars per hour in Canadian dollars. And it felt really nice for me. I was buying all the tags that I wanted. I bought a keyboard, I bought a desk that can go up and down, and I was basically enjoying my life then. I was super proud of myself. I was thinking I'm such a success at the age of 18. I was enjoying my life and preparing to get a loan for my dream car, Tesla Model 3. And then one day at my job I was invited on a meeting in the middle of the working day, and I was told that I am fired. Not because I was bad, not because I failed, but because they wanted me to do QA, which was my previous course, but I wanted to grow in software engineering. So I mostly preferred to take software engineering tasks and ignore QA tasks. And they fired me because of that, even while my title was a software engineer. And this is when realization hit me hard. I understood that I had completely no control over my career. Everything changed like this. My possible Tesla loan is gone, my money are gone, I don't have any income anymore, and I'm just living in my parents' house. And my friends are not so jealous anymore. And this is when I understood that I had no control over my career at all. I was just dependent on this employer that was controlling what is gonna happen with my life. I was super shocked. I was pretty close with the teammates there. I was enjoying them, I was spending time with them, I was chatting with them. I felt that I was doing everything correctly. I was growing my software engineering skills. I was doing a great job when it comes to coding, but I was just fired. And they didn't even pay me for the last week of my work, which they were supposed to do based on our contract. And this is when it felt really bad for me. And at this exact moment I noticed a YouTube video from the guy that I knew who was promoting his Start YouTube channel course. So I bought this course from him because the stories that he told, he really resonated with me. He was working at McDonald's before, but now he's a cool YouTuber who is making money from YouTube. Plus my own previous experience with YouTube and desire to become famous also came in place here, and I started making YouTube videos consistently every week based on the information that I was getting in this course. And that was the moment when I decided for myself that I will not have an employer later in my life. For now I may have a few employers so that I have some money, but eventually I want to work for myself, and YouTube is what kinda allowed me to do this. Potentially. So I went all in with YouTube. I was making pretty intense fitness challenge videos on YouTube every week, posting consistently, recording videos almost every day, trying to speak to the camera in English for the first time, and getting my first English viewers. At the same time I had another company where I was working as a part-time software engineer for a while, but then my realization confirmed even more that I will never feel safe when it comes to working as an employee, because at one point while I was enjoying doing that work as a part-time software software engineer, they just got out of clients. And I basically had no job to do anymore. And since I was paid based on the amount of hours that I worked, I was basically having no tasks to do, meaning no hours worked, meaning no income. And even while technically I'm still employed with them until this day, at that point I just stopped getting any work to do. And again, I had no job. And it continued for almost a year. So in addition to making my YouTube videos, I started applying to jobs. I was improving my resume, I was going through LinkedIn, applying to jobs on some different websites, trying to land any interviews and get some results. But I was barely getting interviews. Even at that point, it was 2023, and I was basically watching my time pass and getting no opportunities to actually use my skills that I developed so long. Okay, 3 months, maybe it's not too long. But still, I had the skills that I could use, but I wasn't able to use them. And it continued for almost a year for me. I felt so bad during this year. Even while my friends were working some different jobs, I was basically doing nothing. I was looking for a job. Whenever anyone was asking me what am I doing right now, I was just saying I'm just looking for a job, same as before. Nothing changed for me a lot. It felt crazy. I remember I was splitting my day into two parts. One was for applying to jobs and basically working on my job search stuff. And second one is working on my content, because I understood that this is what is gonna probably sustain me in the future, in the long term. At some point I was even so ashamed that I don't have a job and that I'm living with my parents and that I'm pretty much useless right now. So I asked one of my friends if they're looking for a guy in a car wash at Ford dealership, and this friend helped me to get a job there. And I was working for like $17 per hour in a car wash, even well before I was getting consistently $25 per hour as a full-time software engineer employee. And I worked in a car wash just for about 1 month, and then I realized it is definitely not for me. I have more skills than just for the purpose of cleaning cars, so I quitted this job in about 30 days. At the same time, even while working in that car wash, I was still posting content consistently on YouTube and even on Instagram and TikTok as well, so that I can get some more traction and eventually achieve this stability and financial success. Everybody online was saying just be consistent and then you will get it. I was consistent, but even while doing that, I was getting zero outcomes from this. Of course, I was getting some views, but in terms of money, I was getting zero. And this is when I decided to create my workout program. I was waking up super early, recording these training videos. At the same time, in parallel, I was coding a website so that I can showcase those videos and upload them. Also integrated Stripe in there so that people can actually buy it. And then eventually it was a launch day. I launched it. I started telling about it on my YouTube. In all of my new videos, I priced this program at about $30-ish for 30-day program, and I got zero sales. No matter how many videos I did, how much I tried, I was getting zero sales. Then I thought maybe the problem is with my pricing. I should decrease it even more. So I made it around $10 or $15 for this same program, and nobody bought again. I felt frustrated. I felt confused. I didn't understand what I was doing wrong. I was consistent. I was making the website. I built the training program. There is a lot of YouTubers who are getting paid for doing this. Their programs are much more expensive than mine is. What is going wrong? Why nobody bought from me? I had views on those videos, but nobody was interested in my program. Why nobody bought? I truly didn't have an answer to this question. But from my experience right now, I totally understand that I was doing everything wrong there, but I just didn't know what. And then eventually I was able to find my software engineering job. Even while they had a requirement which I didn't really like, which was coming to the office 3 days per week, I still went for it because I just didn't have any other choice. The salary was higher this time. It was around $40 per hour, and it was my highest salary at that point. And I felt some life again. I was getting some money, I could spend them a little bit, but this time I already knew that I shouldn't allow myself to relax here. I shouldn't prepare for any car loans. I shouldn't spend too much money on tech. I should be saving, because then I knew that these opportunities can come quickly and then can leave as quick as they can. And unfortunately, with this job, I hated it. I felt almost no growth there. Even while I was having this job, I felt like even when I didn't have the job, my skills were growing even more because I was trying different projects, I was building my own websites, and it just felt better and more free. But right now I do have money. I had this pretty nice paycheck for the guy at his 20s, but I had to go to the office. I worked those hours that I didn't really enjoy. I was sweating every day in the subway while going to the office for 30 minutes in just one direction. And I also didn't like the product. I didn't see any use in this product, even while at the time I said that I did, because I just had no other choice. In the evenings, besides this job, I was also applying to different jobs. But during the times that I worked there, I was getting zero interviews for those jobs because the market was super saturated, and it is saturated until this day. And I was just feeling trapped. I was powerless. I had skills, but I had no options again. I was living in a loop, waking up at 5 a.m., recording some content for my YouTube channel, then doing some coding project if there is any, and then going to the office, then coming back at 5 p.m., going to the gym, and then if I have some time, maybe I can do some coding as well, and then I go to sleep and wake up at 5 again. It was a crazy loop that I didn't enjoy, primarily because of this part in the middle, which was a 9-to-5 job. And I even spent half of my weekends on editing and making content. All of my Saturdays were called YouTube days, when I would just start a day with scripting a video, then recording it, and then I will be editing it just until the evening. So I basically had just one weekend all the time. And even while I was spending time on these different coding projects on YouTube, I was still getting zero results from those. The only thing that I was getting results from was my software engineering salary. And even this one I wasn't really satisfied with. So as you could guess, I didn't really enjoy my life at that point. Everything I was hoping for is that something else will work out for me. Either my YouTube channel or some of my coding projects or hackathons that I was participating in will go further and I'll get some success and money from this. But they didn't. And at this point, as you could guess, I was dreaming about how my life could look like once I have this freedom of a remote work and ability to live wherever I want. And my idea was that once I'm able to live wherever I want, I would just go to the cheapest place possible and just gonna work remotely there. And this place was Asia. So I was watching a ton of videos about Asia, and one of those countries was China. And in one of those videos, I noticed that it's pretty cheap to go to the China, start studying Chinese there, and at the same time live a pretty cheap life. So I decided, why not? So I prepared myself to quit this job. I've got my savings from my software engineering job, which would allow me to live there for like a few years in a country where I wouldn't feel like I'm in some closed loop. As well as in addition, I will enjoy the Chinese culture, will see what it's like, and will learn Mandarin as well. So that's what I went for. Quit my software engineering job and go all in into my entrepreneurial journey, building my YouTube plus building my coding projects. And when I was preparing to leave my software engineering job, I got offered another opportunity as a software engineer, which was a remote one, and they said that they don't worry about where the heck I'm gonna live in the world. So I thought it's gonna be fine for me to work in China. And the salary was also higher, and the project was more interesting. So obviously I agreed. And at this point, I was already not so interested about my main YouTube channel. I wasn't so satisfied with the results I was getting. I was barely getting any views. I definitely wasn't getting any sales from there. And I was also kind of running out of ideas, and I didn't even know what to record. So I kind of didn't really understand what my life is gonna be like in China. I felt this risk. I knew that again, I cannot trust my new employer. He can fire me at any moment. It happened to me many times. I will be in a new culture, in a new environment with no parents for the first time ever in my life. And I'll have to figure something out. But at the same time, it felt kind of exciting. So I went for it. And when I went to China, I was pretty much enjoying it. I was really happy. I was feeling kind of free. But at the same time, I had to do my software engineering job. And unfortunately, in less than a month, I started feeling a lot of pressure at this job. I was getting crazy, like 1 month's deadline for the work that would take 2 to 3 months. So I couldn't complete my job in time. Plus, in addition, our time zone difference was now 12 hours between East Coast and China. It was crazy. And as you could expect, I was fired. And I wasn't paid for 2 weeks of my work again. And even while I felt pretty sad because the money were pretty huge and 1 month of work would allow me to live in China for 12 months, I was still pretty happy because I already had enough savings saved up, and I knew that I came to China not to work as an employee. I wanted to do my own thing. So this is what I started to do. I started making content about China. Since when I was still in Canada and enjoying content about China, there were not too much content and I still wanted to get more, but I couldn't find enough. So I started kind of solving the problems that I had myself in the past and showing to the people what the China is like. I was showing my lifestyle, I was showing my experiences, reality of living there, and I was pretty much enjoying it. But the problem remained. I didn't get any money from doing this. And I don't know why, but I didn't even think about it in the first place. And it was my huge mistake. Because at some point people started asking me, how do I go to China? How do I start living in China? How do I apply to the university? So this is when I understood. People need this, and I can help them to get this. So I started selling my services with helping Russians to apply to Chinese universities. Yeah, my YouTube channel was in Russian, and I made it in Russian because Russians are more interested in China than English speakers, as I saw. And finally, for the first time, I made my first money from YouTube by selling services for helping people to apply to Chinese universities. I was helping them with the paperwork and just answering their questions basically. But once I started selling this, my content also shifted, because right now, instead of making just vlogs that I really enjoyed and showing up the China, my Chinese girlfriend as well, which I found at the time, and how awesome we're spending our time together, I started making more content about getting into university, studying in China, and all the stuff that people were looking for that will eventually lead me to more sales. And even while it was actually the case, I was getting more sales by making those question answering videos, I also started realizing that I'm not enjoying what I do. Instead of making the content that I really enjoyed, I started making the content that people enjoyed and that people needed. And it wasn't the same thing. I wasn't enjoying talking about universities because I didn't even go to university myself. I mean bachelor degree. And I'm pretty sure that in this life we don't really need it, especially if we want to become entrepreneurs. And even while my channel grew even more after I started answering those questions that people needed answers to and started making more money from this as well, got to 1.3 thousand subscribers in 8 months, I didn't like the content I was putting out. And the service I was selling was even much cheaper than my time as a software engineer. I could be selling a service for $200 to $300 that would take me about 10 hours to fulfill, and it was definitely much less than my software engineering salary. But I thought it's fine, at least I'm just making money from my YouTube, this is what I always dreamed about. But then at some point, whenever I decided to create a course about how to come to China and started selling it, just 2 people bought it. And this is a point when I felt pretty unsatisfied and pretty sad. And I think one of the reasons why it didn't sell very well is that people understood that I'm not really interested in this stuff a lot, that I just want to get money from them, because this is what I understood that people may potentially buy, but they didn't buy. Out of 1.3 thousand subscribers, just 2 people bought, and it was a failure for me. And this is when I understood that maybe I should be doing something different, especially since I'm not enjoying the content that I'm putting out. I felt like it's not myself anymore. Previously, I was super happy recording those videos. I was having a lot of fun with my girlfriend. I was spending an awesome time. I was showing China. I was going to different cities. I was exploring. But then later I was making talking head videos just explaining how to go to universities in China and why people should do this. YouTube, the things that felt for me like a freedom, also started to feel like an employment. I wasn't doing what I enjoyed. I was spending time on the things that weren't bringing me enough money and enough excitement, so I dropped it. And this was also the time when I found the idea of high-ticket consulting and coaching. And it was the time that everything really clicked for me. Because instead of trying to get some views that will eventually somehow convert, I should have focused on getting the business foundation first and then using content to find those clients. And do all of this based on the things that I actually enjoy, not on the things that people requested me to switch into. I realized that I wasn't failing because of my content, because of my skills, or because of my consistency. I was failing because I had no monetization strategy in the first place. Even while I knew that I need to have this monetization strategy, even when I bought my first YouTube course, I completely forgot about it 2 times in a row, with 2 YouTube channels and waste 3 years of my time. I knew that I should have this, but I didn't make it. My direction always turned some other way, no matter what I tried to do. I had no end goal. I had no enjoyment in what I was doing, and I had no control of what I'm doing and where it's leading me. And then, after I started exploring this topic even more, investing into coachings and courses, I realized what were the problems for me during all of those 4 years of my YouTube journey. I've got so many answers for myself, and one of the things that led me to creating this business and YouTube channel was answering a simple question. What would you be doing if you would be paid millions of dollars, no matter what it is, every day? And for me, since I really enjoyed talking about content creation and business, I was always pushing family members and friends into creating content. I always believed that this is a huge leverage. This is the best thing that you can do for yourself. Even while I fully didn't realize how to make proper money with this, that will actually be bigger than the software engineering employment can give you. I really enjoyed this topic, and I really wanted more people to do this. So the answer for me to that $1 million question was creating content and not working a 9 to 5. If there would be the only thing that I could share with people, it would be this. And this is exactly what I was doing for the last like half a year with another My Russian YouTube channel, which I was actually doing for fun just to document my journey of whatever I was doing. I was sharing that same ideas, the same realizations that I had after finding out about all of this content, high-ticket coaching, consulting on that YouTube channel. And then I realized I was a software engineer who was fired multiple times, who didn't have any flexibility and freedom in doing his work. Even while I enjoyed the coding, I still didn't enjoy the fact that I was doing this job. I understood that there is a ton of other engineers who are experiencing the same problems that I did as well. And now I have the knowledge that can actually help them out to resolve it and build a business that will work for them, not otherwise when they will work for this business, like it happened with me and teaching people on how to get to Chinese universities. It was crazy. This is when the puzzle was really solved for me, because I saw many software engineers who are building SaaS and then trying to get it to the market and find some users, which I was doing multiple times as well, even with that fitness course when I had a YouTube channel and different side projects and hackathons as well. I was starting with building, and I was starting with charging some small prices for the thing that I'm not sure if people will even need. And I see the same patterns in all engineers these days as well. Even for those engineers who want to start some consulting, they're gonna start it by selling their hours for a rate that is even lower than their current software engineering hourly rate. And I feel obligated to help those software engineers to don't make those same mistakes that I was doing throughout all of those 4, 5 and even more years with my entrepreneurial YouTube and content creation journeys. I don't want engineers to feel trapped. I don't want to waste their best years on doing the wrong things and feeling useless, just like I did even when I had this success with my YouTube and different projects. If I would be able to give myself back in the days the same information that I have right now, I would get the results much faster no matter what I would decide to do. Even with that same fitness YouTube channel or any other side project that I was building, it would work out for me much quicker if I would implement the right systems in the first place. So this is why right now I'm helping software engineers to build leverage even while being employed, monetize expertise intentionally, and create your own opportunity instead of hoping that it will somehow appear in front of you. Basically sharing everything that I wish I would know at that stage when I just started. And I'm truly happy that I found this niche where I'm able to provide value and where my vision really aligns with my past and with my future as well. And I hope that the information that you can find on this channel will help you a lot, and I recommend you to check out this video if there is any video here. I'm not sure what exact video I'm gonna put here, but it's definitely a valuable one. And let's finally start building leverage even while everything feels like it's safe and everything is great, because at some point it may not be. And I understood it with my own experience. I'll see you there.